Out here in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by miles of open water, there's a lot that can go wrong. We put our faith in massive steel structures, complex machinery, and cutting-edge technology to keep multi-million-dollar operations running and, more importantly, to keep people safe. But all that tech, all that steel, it's only as good as the person in the chair. I'm talking about the Dynamic Positioning Officer, or DPO. It's a job title that sounds technical, and it is, but the reality of the role goes so much deeper than just pushing buttons and watching screens. They are the guardians of station keeping, the steady hand on a digital helm. When the wind howls and the sea gets angry, or when you're working just feet away from a fixed platform, it's the DPO who has to remain the calm voice in a storm of high-pressure data. They're the human element, the final say, the one who has to interpret what the computers are telling them and decide if it makes sense. It's easy to get mesmerized by the blinking lights and the automated systems, to think the ship is flying itself. But that's a dangerous illusion. Technology is a tool, a powerful one, but it doesn't have judgment, it doesn't have intuition, and it certainly doesn't have a conscience. That's where the professionalism of the DPO comes in. It's not just about knowing which button to press. It's about knowing why you're pressing it, and more importantly, when not to. It's an attitude, a commitment to a standard that ensures the safety of every single person on board and the success of the entire operation. It's a dirty job of a different sort. Mentally grueling, relentlessly demanding, and absolutely critical. Today we're going to pull back the curtain on what it truly means to be a professional DPO, the unsung hero keeping these massive vessels exactly where they need to be. If there's one commandment on the bridge of a DP vessel, it's this: safety is not a priority, it's a precondition. Priorities change depending on the job, the weather, the client. But safety, that's the bedrock, it's non-negotiable. A professional DPO understands that every decision, every checklist, every single action they take is weighed against its impact on the safety of the crew, the vessel, and the environment. They are the final gatekeeper. It doesn't matter how much pressure is coming from onshore or how tight the schedule is. If the operation isn't safe, it doesn't happen. Period. It's a line in the sand that can never be crossed, because the moment you compromise on safety, you've already failed. This commitment creates a very specific kind of atmosphere in the DP room. It's not about being relaxed, it's about being vigilant. You learn quickly that a quiet bridge isn't always a good thing. In a DP room, silence is not calm. It can be deadly if it means no one is speaking up when something's wrong. A professional DPO fosters a culture where every member of the team, from the most junior cadet to the captain, feels empowered to voice a concern. They know that a single observation, a gut feeling that something isn't right, could be the one thing that prevents a catastrophe. It's about building a fortress of protocols and checks, but also trusting the human instinct that knows when to sound the alarm. A good DPO knows their systems. A great DPO knows their surroundings. Situational awareness isn't just a buzzword they throw around in training, it's a state of constant active observation. It's the difference between merely reacting to a problem and anticipating it before it ever becomes one. You're not just watching your own screen, you're looking out the window, you're listening to the hum of the thrusters, you're monitoring the chatter on the radio, you're feeling the subtle shifts in the vessel's movement. You're building a complete mental model of the entire operation inside and out, second by second. It's about seeing the invisible threads connecting everything. This vigilance pays off in countless ways. It's about noticing the slight, almost imperceptible drift in a position reference system before it triggers an alarm, giving you time to investigate calmly instead of reacting in a panic. It's catching a tiny discrepancy between the gyro compass readings that could signal a developing fault. It's about seeing a supply boat on the horizon and thinking through its course, speed, and potential impact on your position long before it's a factor. This isn't about staring at a screen waiting for it to turn red, it's about being a detective, constantly searching for clues and putting the puzzle together to stay 10 steps ahead of trouble. Sooner or later it's going to happen. An alarm will blare, a screen will flash red, and the calm, controlled environment of the bridge will be shattered. In that moment, the single most important tool a DPO has isn't their technical knowledge or their fancy equipment, it's their ability to remain calm. Panic is the enemy. It clouds judgment, shortens your thinking, and turns a manageable situation into a crisis. A professional DPO has trained for this. They understand that the alarm is just information, it's not a monster, it's a signal that requires a calm, methodical response. The heart rate might spike, but the mind has to stay clear. This is where practice and discipline forge professionalism. It's about breathing, assessing, and then acting. You don't just jump to conclusions. You follow the procedures you've drilled 100 times. You acknowledge the alarm, you identify the cause, and you take deliberate, decisive action. You communicate what's happening clearly and concisely to the rest of the team. This isn't the time for guesswork or frantic button pushing. It's about trusting your training and your team to navigate the problem. Anyone can operate a system when everything is going perfectly. The true test of a professional is how they perform when it all goes wrong. A DP vessel is, honestly, a complex dance of multiple teams working in concert. You've got the bridge team, the engine room, the deck crew, crane operators, and sometimes clients or subsea engineers. The DPO sits right at the nerve center of it all, and really the only thing holding that intricate operation together is communication. And it can't be just any communication, it has to be clear, concise, and assertive. There's absolutely no room for ambiguity when you're positioning thousands of tons of steel with pinpoint accuracy. I think we should maybe move a little to port just doesn't cut it. It has to be maneuvering to port 5 meters, stand by. This assertiveness isn't about being aggressive or arrogant. It's all about clarity and safety. When a DPO gives a command or provides an update, everyone listening must know exactly what is happening and what is expected of them. This is especially true during critical phases of an operation like landing a heavy piece of equipment or connecting to a subsea structure. The DPO must be able to cut through the noise, get the attention of the relevant people, and convey vital information without hesitation. They are, in a way, the narrator of the operation, and their script has to be flawless, ensuring everyone is on the same page, at the same time. The work of a DPO doesn't end when their shift is over. The safety and continuity of the operation really depend on what happens next, the handover. This is where professional integrity is, honestly, paramount. It's not just about telling the next person on watch that everything's fine. It's a sacred duty to provide a complete and honest picture of the situation. This means meticulously documenting every event, every alarm, every manual intervention, and every subtle change you observe during your watch in the logbook. That logbook is the vessel's memory, and it has to be perfect. Gaps or glossed over details are seeds for future disasters. A thorough handover is a conversation, not just a report. You talk through the current operational status, the weather conditions, any equipment that's been acting up, even if it hasn't failed yet. You discuss the plan for the next few hours, and any potential challenges you foresee. You're essentially downloading the last 12 hours of your situational awareness into your relief's brain, so they don't have to start from scratch. It's a profound act of trust and responsibility. A professional DPO ensures that the person taking over has every piece of information they need to maintain the same high level of safety and vigilance. Anything less is a betrayal of the team. No DPO is an island, especially not on a vessel in the middle of the ocean. The bridge is a team environment, and the foundation of any high-performing team is mutual respect. This isn't just about being polite, it's about genuinely valuing the skills, experience, and perspective of every single person on that bridge, from the captain to the newest trainee. A professional DPO knows they don't have all the answers. They listen to their team, they encourage questions, and they create an atmosphere where a junior officer feels just as comfortable pointing out a potential issue as the chief mate does. This collaborative spirit is, honestly, a massive safety multiplier. Part of that respect is accountability. In a high-stakes job, mistakes will happen. It's inevitable. The difference between a professional and an amateur is how they respond. A professional owns their mistakes. They don't hide them, they don't blame the equipment, and they don't point fingers. They raise their hand, say I messed up, and focus on the solution and the lesson learned. They also have to be open to criticism. When someone points out a flaw in their plan or a mistake in their execution, they don't get defensive. They listen, they consider it, and they say thank you. That humility and willingness to learn is the mark of true confidence and professionalism. The technology on these vessels is in a constant state of evolution. The systems that were state-of-the-art 5 years ago are being replaced by newer, more complex and more capable software and hardware. A professional DPO knows that their training certificate isn't a finish line, it's a starting block. Complacency is the cousin of catastrophe. You have to be a lifelong student of your craft. This means, eagerly diving into the manuals for new equipment, actively participating in simulator training, and paying close attention during any system upgrades. It's about maintaining a deep, almost obsessive curiosity about how things work. But learning isn't just about new technology, it's about learning from experience, both your own and others. Professionals actively seek out incident reports from across the industry. They read them, they analyze them, and they ask themselves, could that happen here? What would I do? They treat every near miss, every small failure as a priceless learning opportunity. They debrief with their team after every challenging operation to discuss what went well and what could be improved. They are never satisfied with good enough because they know that in this line of work, the pursuit of perfection is a matter of survival. At the end of the day, this is a deeply technical job. A professional DPO has to be a master of their systems. This goes way beyond knowing the basic functions. It's about understanding the logic behind the automation. Why does the system prioritize one thruster over another in a certain mode? What are the failure modes of each reference system? How do the different layers of software interact? They need to know the machine's mind so well that they can predict its behavior and, more importantly, recognize when that behavior is abnormal. It's an intimate, mechanical empathy. This deep knowledge breeds a healthy skepticism of automation and an obsession with detail. A professional never blindly trusts the system. They are constantly cross-checking, verifying, and looking for the small details that automation might miss. They notice the tiny 0.5% increase in thruster load that doesn't quite match the environmental conditions. They question the small, persistent offset that the system seems to be fighting. They treat the DP system not as an infallible pilot, but as a powerful and occasionally fallible co-pilot that requires constant supervision. It's this granular attention to detail that catches problems when they're small, long before they become emergencies. Hope is not a strategy. On a DP vessel, you have to live by the opposite motto: prepare for the worst, and you'll be ready for anything. A professional DPO is always thinking ahead, running through disaster scenarios in their mind. They are constantly asking, what if? What if we lose this generator? What if this reference system fails? What if the wind shifts 40 degrees in the next 30 seconds? They don't just ask the question, they formulate a plan. They know exactly what their first 3 moves will be for any number of contingencies. This mental rehearsal builds the muscle memory needed for a swift, correct response when things go sideways. This preparedness manifests in tangible habits. It's the practice of preloading manual settings for thrusters, so if the automatic system fails, they can take immediate control without wasting precious seconds. It's about knowing the location of every emergency override and being able to operate it blindfolded. It's about discussing potential what-if scenarios with the bridge team during quiet periods, so everyone is on the same wavelength. A professional DPO doesn't wait for an emergency to start preparing. They live in a state of readiness, with a plan in their back pocket for a future that they hope never comes, but for which they are always prepared. So when you see these incredible vessels, these floating cities of industry holding their position against the power of the ocean, it's easy to be impressed by the technology. The GPS, the acoustic sensors, the powerful thrusters, it's all a modern marvel. But that technology is just a collection of tools. It has no judgment, no courage, and no sense of duty. The real marvel, the unsung hero of this story, is the professional in the chair, the DPO. They are the human in the loop, the conscience of the machine. Their job is about so much more than keeping a ship in one place. Ultimately, being a professional DPO is about accepting an immense weight of responsibility. It's a responsibility for the lives of every person on board who trust you to keep them safe. It's a responsibility for the environment, protecting it from the catastrophic consequences of a mistake. And it's a responsibility for the millions of dollars of equipment that you command with the push of a button or the turn of a dial. It's a job that demands a unique blend of technical mastery, unwavering calm, and profound integrity. So next time you think about offshore operations, remember that while the advanced technology may guide the vessel, it's the steady hand, the watchful eye, and the uncompromising professionalism of the DPO that truly keeps it safe. They are the quiet guardians, the masters of the machine, and the reason that these incredible feats of engineering can be performed day in and day out, safely, in the most challenging environments on Earth. It's a tough job, a critical job, and one that deserves our respect.